Candy Cane Lane is the new Amazon Eddie Murphy film. And that should be the entire review. Literally, I should just stop right there because there's almost nothing good to talk about this film. I saw this movie twice because I couldn't believe what I watched after I watched it the first time. And I was like, wait, there has to be something in here because I giggled maybe once, literally once the entire film. And it's not Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is fine in the movie. And I feel bad because I thought his career would have a resurgence after his Dolomite film. You know, the movie about him portraying Rudy Ray Moore and Rudy Ray Moore's, biography, basically, which I thought was great. That Netflix movie was fantastic. But, geez, man, after that, he did Coming to America, the second one, which was just god awful. That was such a garbage movie, especially coming from, waited so long for a sequel. We get a sequel, and it was just terrible. And then this, and I was like looking forward to it, and I watched it, and it was boring, really boring. I went to see this film because Eddie Murphy's in it, and I've been a fan of Eddie Murphy since I was a kid. He's not done a good movie since I don't even know when. Bowfinger was probably his last good movie. Norbit does have some funny fucking parts in it, I will say that. But anyway, yes, I was a fan of Eddie Murphy. I like Eddie Murphy. I think he's hilarious. He's been hilarious most of my entire life. But something happened along the way where his movies just suck now, and this is a continuation of his sucky career. And I thought, like I said, he was going to have a resurgence from that Dolomite film. I just figured maybe he started picking better films, but it hasn't been the case. Every single movie he's done since then is garbage. Eddie Murphy plays a guy named Chris Carver, and he loves Christmas. He loves Christmas so much that him and his wife, Carol, decide to name their kids all from Christmas-themed names. There's Holly, the baby, Joy, the older daughter, and the son, Nick. So he loves Christmas, and every year he makes these wooden sculptures, and he places them in front of his house. That's how he decorates it, and there's a competition between him and his neighbors, and he has a neighbor that lives directly across the street who uses inflatable, Christmas ornaments or Christmas decorations. So anyway, there's a competition every year, Candy Cane Lane, who's going to win Candy Cane Lane. And this year, there's going to be televised and streamed all over the internet, the competition. And they're going to see who has the best decorated home, and they're going to win a prize. So Nick ends up losing his job in the beginning of the movie. And the way it's presented and portrayed, you would assume that he's going to get some sort of revenge, or, you're going to see that the guy who fired him, who's kind of comes off as just a piece of shit. Like he doesn't even care that he's firing Chris on Christmas. So he comes off like just arrogant douchebag. So you think like at the end of the movie or somewhere along the lines, that guy would show up. If he did, I missed him, and get his comeuppance from this firing, but that never happens. And so I was like, what the fuck? And so anyway, he loses his job, and then he discovers that this year they're going to be giving $100,000 away to the winner who has the best decorated home on Candy Cane Lane. So his goal is to win. So him and his little daughter decide to go out and buy the best decorations to, fix his crappy looking home, because even though he handmade these beautiful wooden sculptures, they look like shit compared to everyone else in the neighborhood. So he decides to go and start, decorating his house even more. He finds this random store called Kringle's, and he goes inside and has everything he could ever want. And all of a sudden, this little woman shows up, played by Jillian Bell, I believe that's her name. And she plays the owner of the store, also known as Peppermint. And she sells him these things, and there's this one beautiful item that he thinks if he has this, he's going to win the competition. And that is a 12 Days of Christmas carousel tree. So it has, the song, the 12 Days of Christmas, blah, blah, blah. So it has every decoration, and it looks like a tree, kind of, but it's all these ornaments on it, or whatever the hell. I don't know how to describe it. So he wants that, and on the top is a little partridge in a pear tree, and she tells him, oh, you have a good eye, blah, 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 and then if you get this, whatever the case may be, but there's something weird about this place because it showed up out of nowhere, and she's a little eccentric or quirky. And later it's discovered that when he took this thing home and he took the partridge in the pear tree, he is supposed to make a wish. So he makes a wish to win the competition. And then, this thing shoots up and shows all these beautiful designs and blah, 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 blah. And you discover that Peppermint, or Pepper is actually an elf. She used to be a Santa's right-hand elf that would put all the kids on the naughty list that were bad. But she took advantage of this and would just go overboard and put a majority of kids in there. So Santa kicked her to the curb and made her take care of the reindeer stables. And then she left. She left the North Pole and decided to do this to get people back. And she'd make them sign a contract that they'd have to do something, some sort of competition and win. And at the end of it, they always lose because she cheats, and they end up becoming like little porcelain statues. Anyway, so the majority of this film is him trying to, get these 12 rings, or actually, no, literally he thinks it's 5 rings at first. And then he discovers that it's not 5 rings because the song repeats itself. So it's actually 40 rings, something like that. So that's the idea of the movie, and that's his goal, is to just him and his family have to team up to get all these rings so he won't turn into a fucking porcelain statue. And there were some moments that was interesting and cool, but it was majority boring. And like the third act just falls off dramatically. Like nothing, I don't know. They should have had more things happening. Like there is a moment where his daughter is competing in track, and you would think, like, it was interesting and cool, that part, and I thought it was going to get better, and nothing goes on from there. Nothing at all. And on top of that, really, like, they forced the kids' problems into the movie. Like, I'm supposed to give a shit. So, like, the son Nick is doing bad in math, and, like, he's trying to hide this for the entire thing because he loves music, but they keep playing the same fucking song over and over again. Like, that's just his music that he created. And, it's like, oh my God, it's good. It's not good at all. And... and then at the end of it, like he knows the math. Somehow he tries to, and it's like not built up. It's just at the end, like all of a sudden he's great at math. It's like he's been failing the entire time, and then they come up to this, and then somehow he's like, oh, it's because of his music. It was so forced, such bullshit. And then the only thing, like basically the only discovery or character growth that Chris has is the fact that he realizes that he's been doing all this Christmas and saying, he's doing it for the kids, but it's really for himself because he loves Christmas. And then he decides, because of that, he's got called out by his kids about this, that he's like, okay, you're right. Nick, you could do music if you want to do music when you get older. And for the daughter, because she wants to go away from school, she doesn't want to live so close to her parents, and she doesn't want to go to the college her parents went to, that she can go to any college she wants to. It's like, what? Out of nowhere. And the wife, the main thing, she's just looking to get a promotion, and... at the end of the movie, she gets the promotion. Like, there's no character development for anybody, really. The main goal is just to stop Peppermint, and that would have been fine and dandy if you only focused on that. But you forced these other characters in here, introduced us to them, didn't give them much to do to begin with, and then didn't elevate their characters at all. The best people in this movie is Eddie Murphy and the little daughter, the tiniest daughter. Besides that, everybody else here sucks. Nick Offerman does one of the voices for Pip, who's supposed to be an English and they picked Nick Offerman. It's like, what? The casting for some of these characters were awful. So at the end of it, Santa does show up, and Santa is not portrayed as your regular Santa. He's portrayed as a pimp Santa. And he's, played by David Alan Grier. And I don't care that they made, Santa black in this movie, whatever. Really don't give a shit about this. If they want to have a black Santa, that's fine. It just was that doesn't take away anything from the movie. And Jillian Bell is fine in it a little bit, but she's just like not funny in this movie because this movie's not funny. Like they tried, like there are moments where Eddie and her are trying to be somewhat funny, and it just doesn't work. See, this is the thing. Unlike the other Family Switch, this is actually a Christmas film, but it just sucks. There's nothing here. Like it just fails. Here's another thing that doesn't make sense is that they're old. His wife and him are old, and they have a daughter that's like 9 years old. And I don't know how old his wife is in the movie, but it doesn't seem like she could have had a kid 9 years ago, because she looks about 50. So if she had a kid 9 years prior to this, what is she's like 40 something? I mean, and she maybe she could have, but it's kind of dangerous but whatever the case may be, I just don't. It just didn't. It was like, wow, they look much older than, like, let's say she's 50. I think she looks older than that. And even Eddie Murphy, he looks younger, but I'm pretty sure he's almost 60. I don't know. It just didn't work. There wasn't like, I don't know. The film just was boring. You know, you would think with a theme like this where his life's on the line, that the stakes would be raised a little bit higher, and some of the things you'd get more along the lines of like a Jingle All the Way type of film, where Arnold has to go through all these chaotic things to try to get this toy for his kid. You would assume that Eddie Murphy would go through all these chaotic things to get the rings, and it's really sparse. The stakes are kind of raised a little bit, but it comes in the form of CG. So they do this CG thing because the little porcelain ornaments, there are other ones there, like Nick Offerman plays Pip, who's the main one. Anyway, so they use these, they take these ornaments home and they try to help the Carver family to get back at Peppermint, because they believe if Eddie Murphy, if Chris wins and beats Peppermint, that they can get like back to normal, become human again. But even that, they never even delve into that thing too, because Pip's like from the fucking 20s or even older, maybe like the 1800s. And like, anyway, I'm not gonna spoil that part if you're gonna see this stupid movie, but there's a scene and he's just like, he never even says my family's gone, and there's no emotion to these little characters, so you really don't give a shit about them. They're just there, and the CG is horrible. The CG is like terrible. It's really bad. It's really bad, and I don't know. Anyway, in conclusion, this movie is just overall, it's really boring. There's nothing good here. I originally was gonna be much more harsh on this film, but it's not even worth my energy to get angry at it. I'm gonna give this movie 1.5 out of 5 stars, and it gets 1.5 for Eddie Murphy's performance. Jillian Bell is okay. She's not as funny as she normally is in every other movie, so this was really terrible to see her in because she's trying, but it's just not fucking working. And another issue I will say again is the length. The length, it was way too long. There's something needs to be done where directors do not have final cut on their fucking films. It needs to be done. Amazon, Netflix, you have to tell your directors that they no longer have final cut approval unless they're, even Martin Scorsese needs somebody because his fucking movies are way too long, but unless they're a big fucking name, great big name, this director did Kid and Play. Like, that was it really. And a bunch of TV stuff. There's no reason for him to have final cut, and he probably did, because this is way too long. Way too long. Oh God, this was pretty fucking bad. This was pretty bad. I don't know. Whatever, 1.5 stars because of Eddie Murphy trying, Jillian Bell trying, and the little girl. That's it. Really, that's it. It had potential and just didn't work. Anyway, so that's my review for Candy Cane Lane. If you saw this movie and you think I'm wrong about my review, leave a comment down below. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Just let me know what you thought about the film in general. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.